Whew, it has been a really hot summer, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting a little tired of baking and heating up the house with the oven all day. So instead, I put a poll out on Instagram asking you guys which kind of summer dessert I should turn into ice cream. And you guys overwhelmingly voted for the strawberry shortcake ice cream. So here we go. Now to start this off, let's first start talking about what a shortcake even is. Now in America, shortcake pretty much just refers to any type of vanilla cake, but if you were to ask someone from the UK, they would refer to a shortcake as more of a biscuit type dough. Something that's crumbly, almost kind of like a shortbread, except a lot less dense. Now because I'm going to be using the shortcake as an actual filling, I'm going to be using more of the UK version of the term shortcake, which is going to be more of a biscuit dough. And of course all of the ingredients and the amounts are going to be listed down in the description, as well as my method. Now if you look back into my video timeline, you'll see I've made biscuits before, and I'm pretty much following the same type of method here, where I want all of the ingredients to be as cold as possible when I mix them together. That way the butter stays intact and doesn't melt. That'll give me a more flakier biscuit. And after pretty much pulling all the ingredients together and kneading it for a bit, I started to realize that the dough became a little bit warm and the butter started to melt, so I just covered it and put it in the fridge for a few minutes, let it chill back down before I cut it. And now I'm going to just pretty much cut it into fours, stack them on top of each other, and then give it a good old squeeze and press down. Now what this is going to do is it's going to kind of mimic a lamination process that you would use for like croissants. Again, just building up more layers of dough and flour and butter that'll make it flakier in the end. But after I've kneaded it out and rolled it out to about 1/4 of an inch to about 1/2 inch thick, I'm going to cut out the biscuits, and really just you can cut them out however big you want them to. As you can see, I had a good bit left over, so I'm just going to kind of mush that into the shape of a biscuit and bake it as well. And after a nice little sprinkling of turbinado sugar, or you can use raw cane sugar, I'm going to actually throw it into the fridge first, let it cool down for a bit, and then throw it into the oven and bake them. And it's fine if some of them don't come out looking that great, because we'll just end up using them as the filling anyway. And speaking of filling, let's start talking about our strawberry swirl that we're going to have going through our ice cream. Now to create this strawberry swirl, I'm going to first start by dicing up a bunch of strawberries, and you're going to want to make sure you dice these strawberries up really finely, not only because you don't want anything that's super big or thick in the actual ice cream, because when you freeze it later on, they'll just turn into large ice cubes, but also because it'll be quicker for the strawberries to actually macerate, that is, have the sugars pull out some of the extra moisture. That way we can actually add it onto our ice cream custard mixture later. And you could also see I added in some corn syrup as well, and the corn syrup's really going to smooth everything out, make sure that this swirl is super smooth and doesn't turn into a hard ice block. But as you can see, after bringing all of this up to a boil and letting it simmer for a few minutes, we're going to get a nice thick syrupy sauce that's going to be great for our filling. And I'm going to just put it in the fridge, let it cool down completely before I add it into our ice cream mixture, which I'm going to start making here. Of course, all of the amounts again are going to be written down in the description, but you can also follow one of our older videos where I made a vanilla ice cream. This is pretty much just going to be just like that. And after you're done watching our vanilla ice cream video, feel free to check out the other ice cream videos that we have in that playlist. All very creative and all very tasty. So comment down below if you'd like to see me turn any other type of dessert into an ice cream, or it doesn't even have to be dessert. Hey, I'm down for a savory ice cream. Anyway, while our cream mixture is slowly heating up on the oven, coming up to a very slight simmer, I'm going to separate all of my eggs, add in the rest of my sugar into those eggs, make sure it's all well combined and ready for me to temper them. And a lot of people get nervous about the tempering process. Really, there's nothing to be nervous about. It's pretty simple. But here I'm going to now cut open our vanilla bean, scrape out all of our vanilla beans that are on the inside, and steep that along with the cream just to make sure we get as much of that vanilla flavor as possible. And after we're done steeping this vanilla bean pod in our cream mixture, I'm going to now add in our cream to our egg yolks. And again, nothing to be afraid of with this tempering process. Just go slow and make sure you stir constantly, that way you don't scramble any of your egg yolks. But I promise it's pretty difficult to screw this process up. And you're going to realize during this whole ice cream making process there's a lot of stirring involved, and that's just because you want to make sure nothing gets burned, none of the milk actually burns to the bottom of the pan, because then you have a burnt flavor and that's not any good. But before I actually put this back onto the stove to heat up for one last time, I'm just going to add in the strawberry mixture, just a little bit of the moisture that came up from the top, just to add in some extra flavor of strawberries into our ice cream. Now this is the part that a lot of people skip. I'm actually going to put this in the fridge overnight just to let it chill down completely before I start the freezing process the next day. And again, a lot of people skip this process, but you really don't want to, because again, you want this to freeze as quickly as possible. and giving it a head start by letting it chill down in the fridge overnight is definitely the way to go. And again, you can just watch me create this freezing vessel in any of our other ice cream making videos. It's all pretty much the same, and it's the same technique where I'm going to put it in the freezer for about 30 minutes, take it out, and then give it a good stirring, then put it back in the freezer and repeat that multiple times until we get this kind of soft serve type consistency, which means we're going to be ready for the final freeze. Now for the final freeze, I'm going to layer in all of my fillings. Layering in all of your fillings is kind of how you get that ribbon type effect in your final serve, which I think is pretty cool looking. You don't have to though, obviously, it's all up to you. But now we're going to take those Misfit biscuits that we baked and we're going to crush them up into tiny little bits and add them into our ice cream. Again, you're going to want to make sure you crumble them up into nice small fine bits because you don't want them turning into large ice cubes in the final freeze. Now in a perfect world, I would have added another layer of strawberries with another layer of ice cream on top, but because I'm always misjudging exactly how much I want to put in, I kind of misjudged how much ice cream I had left. So instead I kind of just mixed the toppings together here and put it in the freezer for the final freeze. And now I suggest always freezing overnight, but really after about 4 hours it gets to that point where you can start serving it. It's all up to you. But as you can see, after layering in all of our ingredients and our fillings, you're going to get that nice ribbony effect going on in our ice cream. And you can serve this any way you want. I suggest serving it with your own homemade whipped cream, but that's of course just me. Of course I have a video on how to make your own homemade whipped cream. I'll leave it down in the description below. Now if you've watched any of my older previous videos, you can tell I am far from a food stylist, and I didn't quite know how I wanted to plate this, so instead of just doing it that first way, I thought, hey, why not do it another way? So here I'm going to kind of do like an ice cream sandwich type of thing where I'm going to take one of my biscuits, cut it in half, put all the ice cream in the middle along with some whipped cream, and then smush it all down with a nice topping of biscuit on top. But again, it's all up to you. Serve it any way you want. Either way, this tastes absolutely amazing, and it was really fun to make. Anyway, guys, thank you guys so much again for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And follow me on my social media accounts. They'll be linked down in the description for behind-the-scenes access at my recipe testing, as well as any type of future videos or any type of polls that I might post. But once again, guys, thank you so much for watching, and peace.